Official Tiger Podcast, this time a playoff edition with head coach Jody Grant, head coach of the Bentonville Tiger football team. Coach, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. First things first, congratulations on a big win. Conference champs again, 12 years in a row since 2007 all the way through 2018. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think when you sit back and reflect on that, I think it's an impressive thing that we've been able to accomplish here with this program, and it's not, winning a conference championship is a big deal for us. We make it a big deal and we talk about it, and it's not an easy thing to do because our conference is so tough, and top to bottom they're very well coached football teams, and there's contenders throughout the conference. So to be able to stay at the top of that for 12 years is neat to be a part of.
Even though it was 2 weeks ago, it was a big game. It was your senior night against crosstown rival Bentonville West. Both teams were undefeated in the conference at the time, and you guys came out on top, ended up with the number one seed in the West. Talk to us a little bit about that environment and what it was like to win a game like that.
Yeah, first of all, I think, for our school district as a whole to have both of their high schools competing for conference championships, at our place here, and that's 2 years in a row we've had the opportunity to do that, and what a phenomenal atmosphere with a great crowd. It's a lot. Those are big games, and it's neat that our kids get to play in an atmosphere like that in such a big game with that type of magnitude. But our kids played real well. We operated. We're playing really good football at the right time. We talked to our kids about that. And that's kind of the way. That's the blueprint of how we kind of run our programs, to be playing our best football. Through October into November and hopefully into December. And so we did that and beat a really good football team and put ourselves in position to have the number one playoff seed.
To echo that, it was a dominating performance. You guys were playing the best game of the year, in my opinion, and a lot of people were just not expecting that score and that game. But the big thing is that you end up earning the number one seed in a bye, and now you're at home for the playoffs. Is there a little bit of it that the week off is like, man, we just played a really good game, now we got to take a week off? Do you worry about losing that a little bit?
I think there's always got to be concern for that, but I think it's all in how you handle the bye week. And fortunately, we're experienced with handling the bye week. One of the things that we've learned over the years is that you worry about your kids losing the idea of the speed of the game, because when you go get your scout team, you just can't match the speed. So we do a lot of ones-on-ones that week. So they get a little mini version of that type of speed each and every day throughout the bye week. And I think that's one concern. But ultimately, once you get out there and start playing, it should be old hat. You all know what's going on and be able to get used to the speed. And our kids will be able to handle the bye well. And the good thing about it is this year we've already had a bye. It's something that's new. So this is our second bye, and we treated them a little bit similar, but just the fact that in the first bye we knew our next opponent. This bye we were unsure. So, but we continue to work our fundamentals and just try to work on getting better ourselves.
And your opponent this week is the Northside Grizzlies, former foe in the 7A West. They've since moved to the Central back and forth a couple of times. But last week they defeated Van Buren, a team that has shown some promise this year. But they went in there and took care of business. Talk to us about Northside. What kind of challenge do they present?
Yeah, so I'd heard a lot about Northside this year, but hadn't seen a whole lot of film on them until recently, and very impressed with them as a football team. I think they're extremely athletic, as they always are. They do a lot of good things. Offensively, their quarterback is their biggest threat. He's a dynamic athlete and does a lot of things with the ball, specifically in the run game. So we'll have a big task and be able to contain him. Just across the board, defensively, they're athletic. They're good DBs. D-line plays hard. Linebackers are great. We're going to have to be able to run the football and win the time of possession, hopefully trying to keep their quarterback off the field. But when we're out there, we're just going to have to tackle well and fly around and kind of do what we've been doing. And, it's our hope that our kids will continue to play defensively like we've been playing. It's been fun to watch. They fly around and just understand what we're trying to get them, to do defensively. They've got a really good grasp of what we're asking out of them, and when they do it, it's fun to watch.
Every game is a challenge. Northside's in the Central, and the Central is very, very strong this year. This is not your usual second-round game, is it?
No, I think really the 1, 2, 3, and 4 from the Central could any of the four could have come over to our conference and competed, significantly with the big, however many 3 or 4 schools that we could say we had this year over here that, and it showed it a little bit in just the 5 seed from their conference beat our 4 seed at their place in Southside, beating Springdale last week, in the first round. So yeah, it's not a easy task by any means. It's a tough draw, but you look through the bracket. I think at this point, if you're still playing, you're playing good football, regardless of your seed, regardless of your record. Northside's no different. We were able to watch them play Friday night and against Van Buren, and they pretty much handled that game in a very dominant fashion from start to finish.
Would you say that this year in the playoffs is probably one of the years that we've had most recently where all the teams are just like that good at this point? I mean, that's not to take away anything from anyone else, but I mean, every single team you talk about, you're like, wow, they're pretty good. They've had some impressive wins this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think every team in Class 7A that's left, I mean, I don't think it would just surprise anybody if they made a run, and just because of their talent and what they're capable of. Obviously, the next round, when there's just down to 4 teams, that statement makes a little bit more sense. But I mean, just these 8 teams that are left are all quality football teams. So, there's going to be some really good football teams that are going to be packing up helmets and shoulder pads next week, and it's just our hope that we're not one of them.
How much can you learn from the film? Because there may be scenarios where you play a team that was a 7A West team in a round. But even though Northside was in the 7A West, they've been in the Central for a couple of years, so you don't see them other than what you see on film. How much of it a disadvantage is that, not seeing them up close throughout the year?
Well, I definitely think it's a little bit of a disadvantage. I also think you can swing it into a way that it's an advantage because your kids' attention to the opponent's a little more detailed because they're unfamiliar with them. The last time we played Northside was in this round of the playoffs 2 years ago when we traveled down to their place. I think we beat them. I don't even remember the score. I think it was like 31-10 or something. Trey Norwood, who's now the corner for OU, was their quarterback. So we kind of had the same deal 2 years ago, a very athletic kid at quarterback that, we had to do the best we could in trying to contain him. So we haven't seen him. I think we talked about this in our office. I think in the last 15 years we've played them 10 times. So since they've moved to the Central, we've kind of hit and missed a little bit in the playoffs. So they're a quality opponent. I think their coaching staff does a great job, and they're always just loaded with athletes.
This being the second season and you guys just coming off a conference championship, talk to us about how you handle that with your team. Do you just put that to bed totally and say, hey, that part of the season's over, or do you say, hey, we're good at this point? I mean, how do you handle that with your kids?
Yeah, so we just going into the year, we break our season down into three phases. It's the non-conference, it's the conference, and it's the playoffs. So, I met with them on Monday of the bye week, and I said, hey, we accomplished our goal of winning the conference, but that doesn't matter at this point. At this point, I mean, what it did is it positioned us for success and seeding purposes for the playoffs. But at this point, it's about going out and playing, because when you're in the playoffs, it's win or go home. And so, I mean, I think you got to be able to handle it and treat it a little bit different because of the scenario that it is. So yeah, we bury the season, and but you still got to reflect on the fact that what got you there and play off the positives from that.
Home field advantage is huge in the playoffs. We had a great atmosphere for the Bentonville West game, and that really makes a difference in a game. In the playoffs, that is heightened. Tell us about what a difference Tiger Stadium can mean in the playoffs, because we've seen it over the years. It's a great home field advantage.
It is. When our kids get a chance to wear those blacks and walk out of that garage with the smoke and to come out to the best student section in Class 7A in the jungle, and just our fan base and our community is so supportive of our kids, and it's a fun environment to play in. It's an intimidating environment for an opponent to play in, and I'm grateful that we get to play Northside at our place.
Tigers looking to head on the road to the Rock, a return visit to War Memorial Stadium, but up first is Northside Grizzlies, Friday night, 7 o'clock, Tiger Stadium. If they win, they stay at home again for the semifinals. Coach Jody Grant, best of luck this Friday night. Let's talk next week.
Sounds great. Thank you.
This has been the OTP.